Let's look at Google. I just want to catch up on these results. The balance sheet's looking pretty stale. Would I fight Mark Zuckerberg? At this point, Zuck seems really confident and really seems like a beast. Google's made a nice comeback. I would be selling that or shorting it, to be honest. That alphabet. Let's see how the earnings looked. Oh, has Google not reported Q3? Impossible. What? Still? No, okay, they reported Q2. Sorry, I don't know why I'm calling it Q3. Q3 is the operating quarter we're in. We're about halfway through to the day. All right, let's look at the Q2 results for Google. Yeah, pretty solid. They've been slowing for a while, as you can see. And they finally, well, had a little bit of a pickup to 9%. I wouldn't fight Zuck or Elon. I'm 5'9". Zuck's kind of a beast now. He loves fighting. All right, so Google had a pretty big reduction in force here. You can see that they, for the first time ever probably, had a huge sequential decline in workforce from 191,000 to 182,000. They should get even skinnier than that. I think they have at least 50,000 people too many. They have a new product coming out called Gemini that might change the world. The Gemini product is the fusion of DeepMind and Google. That's the Gemini, the twins, making one LLM. But I think Google's still going to get up. Okay, so YouTube had a good quarter for once. 7.7 billion, 8% growth or so, pretty good. Google search, again, pretty solid quarter. The traffic for OpenAI just isn't that significant. I actually want to show you guys a secret spreadsheet called websites. It's got a lot of proprietary data here. The number of user minutes. All right, I want you to gather this up for a second. Let's actually do let's do some crazy analysis here real quick. All right. I'm going to add up a select group of websites. Let's say up to here, 27 top websites. The number of user minutes, 78 million users, 10 minutes each. That's 824 billion user minutes. Do I have that right? So 2 trillion user minutes of time spent on these websites. So yeah, 2 trillion minutes spent by users of these 27 top websites, all names you know. A couple of odd sites in there as well. And if you add up Google properties, right? These are 2 Google properties. I think that's it in this list. Google has 72% market share of the time spent on the internet. Think about how crazy that is for the top 27 sites at least. If I move this lower, this sum to say here, it still only drops to 74%. So it's kind of crazy how much time Google has. Now let's calculate Facebook. Only 10%. That's Meta. Now let's calculate, well, there's Twitter. I think Twitter is going to go public soon and they're going to call themselves X. Right, Reddit, Discord. Okay, so Microsoft also, let's see, just do Microsoft real quick. Microsoft has Office, LinkedIn, Microsoft Online, Live, a whole bunch of these little ones, Bing, and Microsoft.com. And that doesn't even add up to 2%. Now let's look at OpenAI, which is all the way down here somewhere. OpenAI has 6 billion minutes, so 6371. So a lot of people think that OpenAI and Bing are going to be competitive with AI in general. The landscape's going to shift. Think about how dominant Google is. 64% of the top 200 websites' attention goes to Google. If you combine all of these companies, Meta, Twitter, X, Microsoft, and OpenAI, it's not even a fourth. So pretty crazy stuff. It's not just you, Nick. I am getting pudgy. So yeah, it's a really wild, I need some weight loss tips. I need to start moving. So it's a really wild time for Google. You know, it feels like the walls are collapsing with respect to the, oh, there's WhatsApp. I didn't include that. That's a lot of minutes. This is sort of sorted by US traffic. Amazon's got very little time on site, even though they do a lot of commerce. Amazon's minutes are very, very small. So anyway, that's a super secret file. It's on my GitHub if you want to see it. So, all right. I think, you know, Google has so much market share that they can, it would take a really big sea change in the way that we look at the web for something serious to happen to Google. You know, so they're that comfortably ahead. All right, so Google Cloud was a little bit below expectations. Other 8142, is that right? No, yes, 8142. So this other business actually did really well. It was funny when that happens. Other bets, 285, FX3, and finally Google Network, which is just an extension of ads. That actually dropped. All right, so Google had a decent quarter. Again, growth has slowed substantially for Google, but you know, they're hanging in there with some decent growth. YouTube is expensive to host, but at the end of the day, the user minutes are what matters. You know, monetization is something they can figure out over time. Shout out to my great friend George Hotz, by the way, pioneering stuff. If you don't know George, he's the man. He'll be debating somebody tomorrow. I think you should check that out. 𝗍𝗑𝗃 is great, man. Ramaswamy's the best. Yeah, 𝗍𝗑𝗃 is like George is like my long lost brother or something. I've been out for a while. I'm the co-founder of a software company called DL Software. It's going really well, thank you. Too strong of a word, but I've been working a little bit on the game. I want to give you guys a preview. It's kind of a game about AI. So basically in this game, some of you guys have probably seen it before. You know, an AI will like basically walk around and I'm controlling this player character. And basically it looks like, you know, just a basic 16-bit, you know, AI company. It's not about Allen Iverson. And sort of looks like it's still a work in progress. Basically what ends up happening is an AI just sort of can control a character in here and will sort of like talk and discuss and run around the map and do stuff like that. Yeah, so the whole idea here is not to make a 16-bit RPG or 8-bit RPG. That's pretty easy stuff. But it's to make a substrate for AI to sort of emerge and control a character, and there to be some strong AGI or artificial general intelligence. So we've seen some pretty good results with this. But yeah, this is a kind of a pseudo game that you can play in, but it's massively multiplayer, so it's actually somewhat difficult to program those. So anybody can join in on this URL and play as well. Your character will spawn up, and I know we're working on saving your character and having different characters, avatars and all this stuff, so you should see that coming out pretty soon. I'll be announcing this at some point. This is a game that me and my colleagues have made. It's we're going to call it Normies. So I think that's a good name, Normies. You know, the main goal is that you can talk and emote. So like if you did / yawn, you yawn. If you do / laugh, you laugh, and so forth. And we're going to add some animations and some emojis to that. But the main idea is that you can express yourself. But yeah, all these monsters will start moving around at some point. You gain experience, new items, all that you see in most RPGs. But RPGs are very, I mean, like Terraria or Link or Zelda. all of these are sort of very basic things, MapleStory, so forth. Like that market's very saturated, it's very competitive. That's not the point to make a video game. We're not a video game company. We're here to sort of design interesting AI tools. So anyway, that's one thing we're working on. We have 2 more large pieces of software coming out in the next few months, which are really exciting. The agent optimized, that's a really good question. So on Twitch, somebody's asking, what's the agent optimizing for? That's the key question. If you look at the reinforcement learning in video games, Dota 2 video game AI, you can see that, here's an OpenAI team.
𝗕𝗺𝗙𝗊𝗀. This episode has been sponsored by Lambda Labs. Not so long ago, we talked about DeepMind's AlphaStar, an AI that was able to defeat top-tier human players in StarCraft 2, a complex, real-time strategy game.
OpenAI succeeded at making a sort of exciting Dota 2 player, and Google did one for StarCraft, and Meta did one for diplomacy and poker. So these can optimize for a certain outcome. But in an RPG, in a complex open world that simulates reality, there's nothing to optimize for. There's no points, there's no score, there's no level that you explicitly optimize for. You're actually optimizing for, is this a player that's fun to play with? Are they human-like? So really interesting sort of RL. It's not RL, right? It's really, you're talking about AGI. And it's a multi-dimensional Turing test. A Turing test that only has text is no longer sophisticated enough. OpenAI has beaten that Turing test. So the Turing test that we have to evolve to is multi-dimensional text. And then what are the other dimensions? Well, certainly text-to-speech is an interesting one. We're working quite a lot on that. But the other ones include things like, what emotions can you convey? And obviously, you can program the game so that it conveys emotions in a animation form, but you could also program it in terms of actions. So if the animation is rendered or not is irrelevant, but if I'm tired in the game, I might yawn. And to me, that's AGI complete. OpenAI might say it's tired, but doesn't know to yawn. Those are like 2 very different things. And a player that is using the full expressiveness of the game to simulate, their real life could be somewhat interesting versus just a text modality. So it's not exactly time, but yeah, these games are very easy to make. That's not the challenge. The challenge is, how do you make the agent that plays the game? What's an adult game? I think that, adults can play video games that look like they're for kids. For example, a lot of Nintendo's games, Animal Crossing and so forth, have sold many millions of units, and they could conceivably be referred to as kids games. But a lot of the agent-based games fail in the sense that they don't allow chat. That's the most important thing. It's kind of what makes us human, is our ability to convey information with language. The games that have regular old RL, where you can just optimize for a score, there's no communication. You just, how do I play Tetris really fast? That's not something that's challenging. Thanks for stopping by. I love you.